There comes a moment in life, often in the quiet hours between dusk and sleep, when the silence in the house no longer feels gentle. It doesn't soothe like it used to. Instead, it presses in around you, not loud but heavy. You sit in your favorite chair, the one you've kept for years, and you notice how your mind won't settle. Thoughts begin to drift in. Little worries, old regrets, imagined futures, and before you even realize it, anxiety has taken a seat beside you, uninvited. But what if I told you that this anxiety isn't proof that something is wrong with you? That it's not a weakness or a failure, not a punishment for having lived too long or loved too deeply? What if instead, anxiety was a signpost pointing you towards something important? In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering, including anxiety, isn't something to be fought, but something to be understood. And more than that, it's something that can guide us back to what really matters. You see, many of us were taught to push anxiety away, to ignore it, suppress it, or cover it up with distractions. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something radically different. It teaches that our discomfort can be a doorway, that anxiety isn't our enemy, it's our teacher, arriving with a message we've perhaps ignored for too long, especially in the later chapters of life. When there's more stillness, more space to feel, more time to remember, this message grows louder. We are no longer rushing from task to task. Instead, we are left with ourselves, with our thoughts, with our breath. And that is where the deeper work begins. So in today's reflection, we're going to explore one powerful thought, one ancient idea from the heart of Buddhist philosophy, that doesn't erase anxiety, but gently shifts how we hold it. This idea has comforted monks in remote mountains, calmed warriors before battle, and brought peace to countless people like you and me. Ordinary people navigating the quiet storms of daily life. If you've ever felt trapped in your thoughts, overwhelmed by feelings you can't name, or simply exhausted from carrying the weight of worry for so long, stay with me. This isn't about denial or toxic positivity. It's about truth. It's about truth. It's about freedom. Because the truth is, you are not broken, you are not failing, you are simply being invited to see anxiety differently. Let's begin not by fighting it, but by meeting it right where it lives in our own minds and in the things we hold on to the most. 1. The root of anxiety, attachment, and aversion. Anxiety doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's not a bolt of lightning crashing down without cause. No, it has roots. And in the quiet wisdom of Buddhism, those roots are known by two powerful names: attachment and aversion. These aren't just ideas, they're patterns woven into how we respond to life, especially as we age. Think of attachment as the grasping hand of the mind. It clings to the things we love, to comfort, to certainty, to the people we've built our lives around. And when life threatens to change, as it always does, that grasping becomes fear. It says, "Don't take this from me." On the other side is aversion, the part of us that pushes away what we don't want: pain, loss, illness, loneliness, even the idea of growing older. We reject it, resist it, fight it, hoping that maybe, just maybe, if we push hard enough, it will leave us alone. But clinging and resisting are exhausting. And more than that, they don't work. As the Buddha taught, whatever is subject to arising is subject to ceasing. In other words, everything, and I do mean everything, changes. Your body changes, your relationships shift, even your emotions. Those storms that seem to last forever will rise and fall like waves. Yet it's our refusal to accept this truth that gives rise to anxiety. Take, for example, an old friend of mine named Tom, a retired Navy veteran who used to walk the lake trail near his home every morning at 6 a.m. sharp. It was part of who he was, that discipline, that routine. But when a hip injury forced him to stop, Tom began to unravel. He didn't just lose a habit, he lost what he had come to believe was a part of his identity. His anxiety grew. He began to dread the mornings, those quiet hours that used to bring him peace, now only reminded him of what he had lost. In a conversation over tea, I gently asked him, "Tom, what is it you're holding on to?" He paused, looked out the window and whispered, the version of me that could still move freely. This is what the Buddha pointed to. Our suffering isn't born from change itself, but from our refusal to let go of how things used to be. When we cling to the past or reject the present, anxiety slips into the space between, and it begins to whisper, "You are losing control." But here's the liberating truth. We never had control to begin with. The lotus grows in muddy water, and yet it blooms in beauty. Likewise, our peace doesn't come from keeping everything the same. It comes from learning to open our hands, to stop grasping, to stop pushing, and simply allow life to be what it is. You are not your routines. You are not your youth. You are not your past. And when you begin to loosen your grip on expectations, on perfection, on the need to have it all figured out, you'll start to notice something incredible. Anxiety begins to loosen its grip on you too. As the Dhammapada says, from attachment springs grief, from attachment springs fear. But he who is free from attachment knows neither grief nor fear. What would happen if today, even just a little, you allowed yourself to unclench the fists of the mind? What if peace isn't found in getting things back to how they were, but in meeting this very moment with open arms? 2. The thought that frees you. This too is just a thought. There's a moment in everyone's life. Maybe it comes in the still hours before dawn, or perhaps in the middle of a crowded afternoon, when a thought arrives uninvited and settles like a weight on the chest. It might whisper, "Something's wrong," or shout, "What if this never gets better?" And before we know it, we are no longer living in the present moment. We are living inside that thought. It becomes a world of its own, a world filled with shadows, tension and fear. But the Buddha, in his quiet clarity, offered a thought so simple, so gently powerful, that it can begin to unravel anxiety at its root. That thought is this. This too is just a thought. Pause with that for a moment. Not every thought is true. Not every thought is worthy of your trust. Some are echoes of old fears. Some are habits of worry passed down like family heirlooms. Some are simply the brain doing what it's done for decades, scanning, protecting, imagining. But a thought, no matter how loud or persistent, is not a fact. It is a passing cloud across the sky of your awareness. A monk once said, "Don't believe everything you think. Even the thoughts that feel urgent are often just ripples on the surface of the mind." And the more we meditate, reflect, and truly observe, the more we begin to see the truth in this. Anxiety, as overwhelming as it can feel, often begins with a single thought. And that thought gains power only when we believe it without question. Take for instance the story of a woman named Marlene, 76, widowed and adjusting to a quieter life than she had known for decades. After her husband passed, she began experiencing a strange kind of fear. She would sit alone in her living room and suddenly worry. What if I fall and no one's there? What if I forget to turn off the stove? What if I start losing my memory? These weren't unrealistic fears. They were grounded in possibility, but they weren't happening. They were thoughts. And they arrived with a pounding heart, a tight chest, and a racing mind. But Marlene began attending weekly mindfulness classes at the senior center. One afternoon, her instructor asked the group to write down the sentence, "This thought is not me, it is just a thought." At first it felt silly, but over time, this became Marlene's anchor. Each time the fear arose, she would gently repeat it. "This thought is not me, it is just a thought." And like a knot slowly coming undone, the grip of those fears began to loosen. You see, in Buddhism, this is known as non-identification, the wisdom of knowing that your thoughts are not who you are. They are movements in the mind, like wind passing through leaves. Some are helpful, some are not, but none of them define your essence. The practice, then, is not to suppress anxious thoughts, nor to shame yourself for having them. The practice is to see them clearly, to say, "Ah, I see you, thought. You are trying to protect me. You are trying to warn me, but you are not reality, and you are not in control." It's a small shift from being inside the thought to standing beside it. But this shift is everything. As the great teacher Ajahn Chah once said, if you let go a little, you'll have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you'll have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you'll be free. When the next wave of anxiety rises, try meeting it with gentleness. Say to yourself, this too is just a thought. No battle, no panic, just a whisper of truth in the heart of the storm. 1. Mindfulness. Anchoring in the present moment. It often begins with something simple. A flicker of unease while sipping your morning tea, a sudden tightness in the chest while folding laundry, or a vague sense that something is off, though nothing in particular has happened. For many older adults, especially those who now live alone or find themselves in quieter routines, this gentle hum of anxiety can sneak in like a draft under the door. It's not loud, but it lingers, and it pulls the mind away from the warmth of the present moment into the cold corridors of what-ifs and what once was. But mindfulness, as taught in Buddhist tradition, offers us a doorway back into our bodies, back into our breath, back into the only place where peace ever truly lives, right here, right now. Mindfulness isn't about emptying the mind or forcing stillness. It's about becoming intimate with what is, noticing with loving attention the sensations in your body, the flow of your breath, the rise and fall of your thoughts. It's learning to be where your feet are, instead of being lost in yesterday's memories or tomorrow's fears. The Buddha said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. And it's a teaching that speaks directly to the heart of anxiety. Because anxiety is always reaching forward. It's a mind trying to predict, to protect, to prepare. But the present moment, it asks nothing of us except that we be here. Let me share a story that might resonate. There was an elderly man named Frank, a retired carpenter, quiet and gentle by nature. After his wife passed, the stillness of the house began to feel more like an echo chamber than a sanctuary. Small worries turned into spirals. What if I forget something important? What if I fall and no one finds me? What if I become a burden to my children? These thoughts took root in the empty hours of the day. Frank's doctor recommended a local mindfulness meditation group, and though skeptical, Frank gave it a try. On his first visit, the teacher asked them to simply sit, close their eyes, and follow the breath. Not to change it, not to force it, just to notice it. Frank said later, at first all I noticed was how loud my thoughts were. But eventually I began to notice my breathing, and then the sound of birds, and then the warmth in my hands. That was the turning point. Each breath became an anchor, each step a meditation, each moment an invitation to return. He began practicing 5 minutes a day, just sitting in his garden, hands resting on his knees, eyes soft, breath steady. He didn't try to clear his mind, he simply watched it, like watching clouds drift across the sky. And with time, the clouds grew lighter. This is the power of mindfulness. It doesn't promise to erase our struggles, but it teaches us to sit with them without fear. It helps us see that we are not the storm, we are the sky that holds it. Mindfulness is also deeply forgiving. If you drift into thought, that's okay. The moment you notice, you've already returned. That noticing is the practice. That return is the victory. So if anxiety visits you in the quiet of your days, offer it no battle. Instead, offer your breath. Anchor yourself in what you can feel. Your feet on the floor, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of your inhale and exhale. This is not denial. It's not escape. It's a sacred act of returning. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Try it now. Take a breath. Feel it travel through your nose. Feel your chest rise. And as you exhale, whisper to yourself, I am here, and here is enough. Compassion. The kindness that softens anxiety. There's a quiet, relentless voice that often accompanies anxiety, and it doesn't belong to the world around us. It belongs to ourselves. It's the inner critic whispering, why are you like this? You should be stronger. You're such a burden. And over time, that voice wears down the spirit, not just with fear, but with shame. But in the teachings of the Buddha, there is a gentle, radical antidote, compassion, and not just for others, but for ourselves, especially for ourselves. You see, many older adults grew up in a time when emotional needs were silenced, when resilience meant stoicism, and when self-sacrifice was seen as noble. You cared for others, children, partners, aging parents, while quietly shelving your own pain, fatigue, and needs. And perhaps now, when you finally have space to feel, everything you postponed rushes in: anxiety, guilt, grief, regret. But here's what Buddhist wisdom teaches us: that the path to peace is not paved with perfection, it's walked with tenderness. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." These words are not an indulgence, they are a lifeline. Consider the story of Ruth, a 79-year-old woman who had spent most of her life caring for others. A nurse by profession and a mother by nature, she had always been the strong one, the dependable one. But after retirement, and especially after losing her sister, Ruth began experiencing waves of anxiety. She felt foolish, even embarrassed. "Why now?" she asked. "I've always kept it together." During a mindfulness retreat at a local community center, a Buddhist teacher invited the group to place their hands on their hearts and silently repeat the phrase, "May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept myself just as I am." At first, Ruth couldn't do it. Her chest tightened, tears welled. It felt unfamiliar, even selfish. But the teacher gently reminded her, self-compassion is not about ego. It's about softening. It's about not turning away from your own pain. That moment marked the beginning of Ruth's healing, not because the anxiety disappeared, but because she no longer fought it alone. She began writing letters to herself, forgiving the parts of her that had been too tired to keep going some days, too overwhelmed to explain, too hurt to reach out, and slowly she began to feel whole again. In Buddhist practice, compassion is seen as a medicine of the heart, and like any medicine, it must be taken regularly, especially when the symptoms of suffering arise. Here are a few gentle ways you can practice self-compassion in your daily life. Speak kindly to yourself, especially when you feel afraid or anxious. Replace "what's wrong with me" with "this is hard and I'm doing the best I can." Place your hand over your heart during anxious moments. It's a physical gesture of care, a reminder that you are not abandoned. Offer yourself the same grace you would offer a dear friend. If you wouldn't say it to them, don't say it to yourself. Acknowledge your effort. You've survived so much, you're still learning. That matters. Compassion doesn't fix everything, but it transforms the way we move through everything. It turns anxiety from a prison into a path that walks alongside your pain, not in opposition to it. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When you love someone, the best thing you can offer is your presence. How can you love if you are not there?" The same is true for ourselves. If we are not present for our own pain, who will be? So the next time anxiety knocks at your door, meet it with kindness. Offer it a cup of tea. Sit beside it. Ask what it needs. Not so you can fix it, but so you can hold it gently, like a child who's frightened in the dark. Because sometimes, all our inner world needs is to know that someone is still listening. 1. The thought that destroys anxiety. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. There are moments in life, quiet, piercing moments, when anxiety wraps itself around us so tightly that we begin to believe it defines us. The rapid heartbeat, the spinning thoughts, the inner tension, they start to feel like who we are, rather than something we're experiencing. And in those moments, it's easy to whisper, "I am anxious," instead of seeing anxiety for what it really is, a passing cloud, not the sky itself. But over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha offered a profound teaching that can unhook us from this suffering. A thought so simple yet so powerful, It can dissolve the grip of anxiety, like sunlight dissolving fog. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. This phrase is not meant as denial. It's meant as liberation. It doesn't push anxiety away with resistance. It gently releases the false belief that you are your suffering. In the Buddhist text, Anatalakkhana Sutta, the Buddha teaches about non-self, the idea that we are not the thoughts, feelings, or sensations that move through us. Just as the sky is not the storm, we are not our anxiety. When we cling to fear, thinking it is part of our identity, it gains power. But when we say, "This is not me," we remember our true nature, vast, peaceful, unbound. Let's bring this into a real-life story. Meet Walter, an 82-year-old widower who had been battling anxiety ever since his wife passed away. He described it as a gnawing feeling in his chest, a sense of dread he couldn't name. It would come and go, but when it was there, it overtook everything, even his sense of self. "It feels like I'm disappearing into the fear," he once said. One afternoon at a local mindfulness group, the instructor led a meditation based on the Buddha's teaching of non-identification. She guided them through waves of sensations and emotions, softly repeating the phrase, "This is not mine, this is not me, this is not who I am." Walter sat quietly, hand over heart, repeating the words in his mind as the tension in his chest began to loosen. Something shifted, not all at once, but enough that he could breathe a little deeper. In the weeks that followed, Walter began using this practice daily. When anxiety showed up, instead of fighting it or collapsing under it, he would acknowledge it gently. "Ah, here it is again." Then breathe and remember, "This too will pass. This is not who I am." And each time the storm grew a little less fierce. The beauty of this teaching is that it is not just a matter of time, is that it doesn't promise the disappearance of anxiety, it offers freedom within it. The Buddha never said we wouldn't experience fear or sorrow, but he did show us how not to suffer unnecessarily because of them. Let's break the phrase down. This is not mine. This means we don't own the emotion. It's not our possession. It's not something we have to protect or defend. It's just something arising like a wave on the ocean. This is not me. This points to the deepest truth. We are not defined by this emotion. We are not broken. We are not flawed. We are the observer, not the turbulence. This is not who I am. Our identity is not made of fear, anxiety, or sorrow. Beneath all of it, is our awareness still compassionate, steady? If you try this the next time anxiety visits, simply pause and say, "This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am." You may notice something remarkable. The emotion may still be present, but its power to define you begins to fade. You shift from being inside the storm to being the sky that holds it. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." And so it is with this thought. It becomes a lighthouse in the fog, a compass when you're lost in your mind. And the older we grow, the more this becomes not just helpful, but essential, because aging brings new uncertainties, unexpected loneliness, changing bodies, and the inevitable goodbyes. But none of these make us less whole. None of them diminish who we truly are. The thought, "This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am," isn't just for moments of panic. It's a mantra for liberation, for reclaiming your space, for remembering your essence, peaceful, aware, eternal. Because in truth, you were never your anxiety. You are the calm that remains when the wave recedes. You are the sky that holds every passing cloud. You are still here. 6. A guided practice, applying this thought in daily life. It's one thing to hear a teaching that stirs the heart, that feels true, like a breeze through an open window after a long, stuffy silence. But it's another thing entirely to carry that teaching into daily life, where the dishes pile up, the phone rings, the aches remind you of time's quiet hand, and the heart, oh the heart, still trembles sometimes. This is where the real work begins, and it is also where the greatest peace can be found. The Buddha was never interested in lofty ideas for their own sake. His wisdom was always meant to be lived, in the marketplace, in the home, on the path through the forest. And so this phrase, "This is not mine, this is not me, this is not who I am," is not just something to remember when meditating or reading spiritual texts. It is something to bring with you into the mess and the miracle of everyday life. Let's begin simply with a practice that's both gentle and powerful, something you can do even now. As you listen, find a moment to pause. Sit quietly, or if you're standing, let your feet rest fully on the floor. Let your body be just as it is. No need to force anything. Breathe in slowly, and then breathe out, just as slowly. Allow your breath to be like a soft hand on your back, grounding, reassuring. Now call to mind something that's been causing you anxiety. It could be a small worry that lingers like background noise, or something larger, a decision, a regret, a conversation that still echoes inside you. Don't judge it. Just gently hold it in your awareness, like placing a stone in the palm of your hand. As you sit with this feeling, begin to softly say out loud or in your heart, "This is not mine." Pause. Let that land. "This is not me." Pause again. Feel the distance opening between you and the emotion. "This is not who I am," and breathe. With each repetition, feel the grip loosen. Maybe just a little at first, maybe more. You are not denying the feeling. You are witnessing it without claiming it, without becoming it. Now imagine your breath as a current of air moving through an open house. It moves through the room of your worry, gently airing it out, not pushing anything away, just making space. The walls of the house are still standing. That house is you, steady, grounded, whole. The anxious thought is just a guest. It might stay for a while, but it doesn't live there, and it doesn't own the keys. This is the power of the practice. Now, let's talk about where to apply this during your day. Because truthfully, you don't need to be on a meditation cushion or in a retreat center to awaken peace. You need it at 3 a.m. When you wake up with the heaviness in your chest, you need it when your grown child hasn't called in weeks and you start to wonder if you did something wrong. You need it when the ache in your joints reminds you that time is passing and that not everything is in your control. In these moments, don't reach for perfection. Reach for presence. Breathe in. Say gently, "This is not mine." Breathe out. "This is not me." Breathe again. "This is not who I am." Then return to whatever is in front of you. Washing the cup, folding the blanket, petting the dog, listening to the sound of the wind through the trees outside your window. In this way, the practice becomes seamless. Not a separate act, but a way of walking through your life. And here's the beautiful part. The more you do this, the more your nervous system begins to understand. You are safe now. You are not trapped in the past. You are not drowning in what-ifs. You are right here, breathing, alive. Ole Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." This phrase, "This is not mine, this is not me, this is not who I am," is a bridge back to that joy, a quiet invitation to remember that the real you has never been broken by fear. So the next time anxiety shows up, don't run, don't resist, welcome it like a visitor. You no longer fear. Offer it a seat, look it in the eye, and remind both of you, this is not who I am, because who you are is stillness beneath the storm, space within the noise, and love, always love, holding it all. So if you've made it here quietly listening, heart open, perhaps even a little softened by the journey, I want you to pause for a moment, just breathe, because what you've heard today isn't just a teaching, it's a doorway, a gentle hand on your shoulder, reminding you anxiety is not a failure, it's not proof that something is wrong with you. It is in many ways a sacred call, asking you to look more deeply, to release what was never yours to carry, and to come back home. The Buddha never promised a life without storms, but he gave us something more powerful, the tools to remain steady within the storm. And one of the most life-changing tools is this thought. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not who I am. Repeat it as often as you need. When the silence feels heavy, when the night is long, when your chest tightens with worry, speak it with tenderness, not resistance, because it is not a weapon, it is a balm. And maybe, just maybe, as you keep practicing, you'll begin to see anxiety not as your enemy, but as your teacher. Not something to run from, but something that reveals your strength, your resilience, your incredible capacity to return again and again to peace. So I leave you with this question, dear friend. What would your life look like if you stopped clinging to what doesn't serve you and started listening to what brings you home? If this message touched your heart, I invite you to share it in the comments. Your voice, your story, could be the light someone else needs tonight. And if you'd like more reflections like this, grounded in Buddhist wisdom and spoken straight to the soul, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You'll always be welcome here. Until next time, breathe deeply, walk gently, and remember who you truly are has never been broken, just waiting to be remembered.